Many people today have dilemmas with how society operates. They grasp that something is wrong, even if they don't fully understand the root cause. This is because it is often difficult to recognize something fundamentally different from the environment in which we were raised and conditioned. In many cases, individuals latch onto the political system in the hope of bringing about a better outcome. The question we must ask ourselves is, what is this system? What system are they contributing to and enabling? The answer? Statism. According to the Oxford Languages Dictionary, statism is the belief that the state should control policy. It is the belief that political authority should manage society. Hence, statism is political ownership and control and the belief that the government can achieve goals it deems necessary. I personally can't remember a time when someone came up to me and said, "Mike, damn homeless people," or "I want unsafe neighborhoods," or "I want unclean facilities," or "I want rampant drug use and addiction." I'm not sure if this is empirically tested, but I think you would agree that most people want to help the homeless, to cure the sick, feed the starving, make sure that the old are taken care of, and create more peace and breed more prosperity. So the question is then asked, how are these preferences enforced under statism? That is, a system built on the belief that moral goals can be achieved through political force. Unlike voluntary exchange, government action has no reliable mechanism to ensure that marginal benefits exceed marginal costs. The government doesn't have its own revenue source. It's not self-sufficient. So where do the state bureaucrats, oligarchs, and politicians get the money to achieve these goals? Well, when the pathogenic, parasitical bureaucrats we call politicians want money, they must extort it from the population. These people write up nice documents, laws, that make it sound as if their actions are morally justifiable. They hire people to steal for them and even portray the job as heroic. This is, of course, not voluntary funding. You do not have an option on whether to fund their pyramid scheme or not. The more laws, the more you must pay. If you break one of the tens of thousands of arbitrary and imaginary rules of their protectionist trade regulations, they will send you a fine, a penalty, much like Al Capone. If you do not pay this penalty, this threat, they will send their hired mercenaries to kidnap you and hold you in a cage, which requires more taxation theft to cover the costs of those cages. In this system, the guards and the political prisoners will share in the torture. This unneeded torture. If you try to protect and defend your family against any of their intrusions into your own home, you and your family will be massacred like pigs at a slaughterhouse. After all the dust clears, a few things become clear. Every law in adult statist society is a threat of violence. Every single law is a threat towards the initiation of force, and the guns are everywhere. We can now see things for how they truly are. Taxation is theft. Prohibitions and victimless crimes are domestic wars. Lobbying is bribery. Regulations are protectionist legislation for corporate lobbyists. War is murder. Statism is terrorism. And statism is slavery. It's not as if the government can feed every child. No one donates to welfare because they've been extremely pleased with the results. They simply give what they have to stay out of jail. Why is this? Because they know that they would rather take their money and give it to a private charity, as private as anything can be in the statist system, because they know that the money will be spent more efficiently than through the state's bureaucratic black hole. When we were kids, we were instructed not to hit, not to steal, to respect others. Great principles that should be adhered to more often. Once we grow up, though, things seem to change. Statism, what most adults today consider reality, is nothing but hitting and pushing, stealing, kicking, screaming, threatening, and well, you get the picture. Many people believe that because government currently claims monopolies in certain facilities, that this is how it is supposed to be, that there is some altruism at work, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Although the Enlightenment and industrial eras helped discard most taboos and spells, many people still cling to magical powers and sorcery. They believe that if enough people can wish something true, then it becomes true. That politician penstrokes have magical abilities that rise above other pens and pencils. Who are these people that still cling to this voodoo? They're not all wizards, witches, and magicians. Unfortunately, many of them are politicians, oligarchs, bureaucrats, kings, congressmen, senators, presidents, and voters. They believe that just to call something the Social Security Act is to actually give people social security. They believe that writing up a document can end starvation, that creating laws can end homelessness or stop hard drug abuse, that pieces of parchment paper can stop tyrannical bureaucrats. But they never see the gun they are inevitably pointing at everyone, including themselves. If you don't want to fund abortion clinics, you go to jail. If you don't want to arrest peaceful people for the wrong type of vegetation in their pocket, they arrest you. If you don't want to fund torture, they throw you in a cage. If you don't want to fund needless and inhumane murderous wars overseas, you go to prison. Are you beginning to see the enslavement you were born into? An enslavement in which the majority of your peers believe in government alchemy to relieve their narcissistic withdrawals. The thing is, there is no magic. Politicians don't have magic pen strokes. They don't have magic wands, just guns, and the people to enforce their political whims. There is no difference between statism and a bully. They both have the same means and the same goal. They both use coercion to get what they want for themselves. The non-aggression principle dictates that people should have the right to do whatever they want as long as they don't infringe on the bodies and property of others. Where there is no victim, there is no crime. Statism is nothing but the infringement of others who simply disagree. Most people believe anarchy is chaos, yet I can find nothing more chaotic than ubiquitous suitable conduct being determined by political whim. If I took away your right to decide what you eat each day, you would very quickly demand your food anarchy back. Oh, I know, it sounds scary. How dare we trust people to satisfy their own taste buds as they choose? As you can see, this fear collapses under even mild scrutiny. Individuals calling for voluntary societies have the same aims as those who support statism. That is, they want peace and prosperity. The difference? They simply want to control their own lives, rather than dump their responsibilities on the violent and tyrannous political system. Statism is a dilapidated and ancient system we inherited from a violent, uneducated, and outdated past. Think back to chattel slavery just 170 years ago. It's not as if chattel slavery could be reformed. Can you imagine yourself pushing for less chattel slavery back then? Of course not. You would call for its total abolishment. Statism is slavery, and statism must be completely abolished. And once you see the system for what it is, there's no way that a virtuous person can ever go back.